you're aiming for a job where you're supposed to be managing and supervising these people that can do the technical work and that are the actual experts. So I think it's important to show that that's kind of what you're after, and you're willing to accept that your other people on the team are smarter than you in certain subjects, and it's your job to rely on them to help the team.
This is a Security Weekly production. Security Weekly is a resource of Cyber Risk Alliance.
The Cybersecurity Collaborative is proud to present CISO Stories. Each week, CISO Stories takes a deep dive on security leadership with one of the contributors to my latest book, the best-selling CISO Compass: Navigating Cybersecurity Leadership Challenges with Insights from Pioneers, as well as other top CISOs and industry security leaders. The Cybersecurity Collaborative is a unique membership community enabling cybersecurity leaders to work together in a trusted environment. To learn more, visit securityweekly.com/CSC or visit cyberleadersunite.com. I'm your host, Todd Fitzgerald, and this week we welcome Shaun Cavanaugh, CISO at National Park Service.
My first memory of thinking about computer security was, I think I was in first or second grade, and we were watching Unsolved Mysteries, and they had a episode about some people that were committing crimes and using the computers and telephone lines to do that. And for some reason, even as a kid, I found that really interesting. And it, eventually led into just finding computers in general interesting, and then security. And I don't know, I guess just a natural, somehow I was just drawn to it. And I like the fact that you could do this stuff just using, phone lines, or nowadays, fiber optic lines to connect to different computers and different machines out there, and make things do stuff that they were originally made to do or ever thought of by the designers of that stuff, and just circumventing that, and then kind of playing the cat and mouse game of constantly trying to come up with new ways to stop that stuff from occurring.
So you've started in a way that, I think a lot of people have gotten in this field through the technical side. And you wrote a great article for the book, CISO Compass: Navigating Cybersecurity Leadership Challenges with Insights from Pioneers. And I just love the title, because it's actually something I've been speaking a lot lately, because it's helping people to make that transition in their careers and whether they should or not. So I love talking to people that have made this transition. And your article was From Techie to CISO: Identify Where You Want to Be and How to Get There. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think I've read another natural interest or something I'm drawn to is like self-development type things and goal setting and planning. And I think the reason I wrote that and thing that helped me was just to initially, put some goals down on a piece of paper that you want to, achieve within the next, 6 months, year, and then do some that are a little bit further out. And, I don't know if it was that or what, but they say, or, people have said that, it's not there. It's very important to put goals down on paper, and, otherwise they're just ideas. But, anyway, I did that a number of years ago, and I reviewed it. I think once I got this, my current role, and reviewed what I had written, and I had accomplished pretty much everything I wanted to in that time. And in some cases it was a bit ahead. It was, reaching a certain grade level in the government, getting a certain job, moving overseas to work for a while. Those were all goals I had, and I thought out, and it really, looking back, it really didn't take that long to think of those and just put them on paper and have them in the back of your head all the time. But that's kind of something that you're striving for, and in your dealings, what you're kind of looking for in them.
I mean, I think that's such a common interview question. Where do you think you'll be in 5 years or 10 years? And when you're getting out of college, and in your case, it was your first real job as a IT software developer for the U.S. Army with 1 year under your belt, and you're being asked, well, where are you going to be in 10 years? Yet the experience level that you would have at that point doesn't give you the context of what you could be in 10 years. So how did you go about that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I remember back then kind of wondering that to myself, because I would see people in higher up positions, and I was so new with everything that I didn't have a clue as to what was even available out there and how anybody got these different positions. And I wasn't I wasn't sure what to even do. So I just started I'm going to say reaching out to like a lot of people, but just have a few people that I trusted and were older and wiser than I was, and just would kind of bounce ideas off them, and try to get mentoring from them as far as how they navigate certain situations, or find out information, or just what's possible. And even those people were outside of work, but even inside of work, kind of finding people that didn't necessarily have to be your boss or anything, but just somebody that had been around a while and you trust, and kind of learn the ropes from them, and find out even searching online, just how in my case it was the government, but just how any job situation works, and how you can apply for positions, where where government or the company's located, just what all is available. And a lot of times there's different programs out there that might not be advertised but are available to anybody to take advantage of. They just kind of you have to know about it and actually apply yourself to that stuff. But I mean, I guess it's easy to say find a mentor, or I'd say just find somebody you trust to maybe help you out a little bit, or just somebody to bounce ideas off of, rather than just kind of having it all stuck in your head all the time.
You said that you liked the cybersecurity work, and you made a switch to get onto the cybersecurity team. How hard was that, from working in IT, to get onto this cybersecurity team?
Well, for me, that's probably not like this for, or I don't know, maybe it is, because there's always, hear about such a shortage of cybersecurity people out there. But for me, it was fairly easy, because I was an intern, and they called it information assurance at the time, but cybersecurity, it's two words for the same thing. And they just needed some additional people. And in the current role I was in, it was fine, but it wasn't really, something I was really excited about, or, I found the software development stuff kind of boring, and not really what I saw myself doing for any length of time, if I could avoid it. And when I heard that the information assurance team was looking for people, the boss over that team talked to my, at the time, boss, and they worked something out to send me over there for a little while to get experience in that area. And I think the thing that helped was just having supportive supervisors of that, and that they wanted me to get experience and find what I liked, and it made sense since I was an intern to do that for somebody that's just brand new into that position.
Yeah, the worst thing is to have somebody in a job that they really don't want. That doesn't work very good for anybody. So you said that when you went over there, that you started to learn the non-technical things that went into managing a successful security program. What were some of those things, and how did you get experience in those things?
I think a lot of it is just kind of shadowing other people and seeing what they're doing, at least the people that you can determine are successful and looked up to in that field. Seeing what they do, and from doing that, I learned, or it seemed to me that a lot of it was good communication with others that made, it didn't necessarily make your problems go away, but it made it good to open up a dialogue between everybody, and so that everyone's kind of on the same page, and that the same stuff, and your vulnerabilities or whatever problem you're dealing with at the time might not go down, but everyone can see that the people in whatever group you're in are actively working towards finding a solution to a problem. And stuff like communication, I'd say things like writing policy and is something that's not technical, but at least in the government, very important as far as having something to fall back on when you tell people not to do stuff, and somebody questions why, then you have a document that specifically states why they're supposed to not do something, or why they're why they need to do it in a certain way. And I think that, and organization, being organized, definitely is a non-technical thing that really helps, because you have a lot of information coming at you, a lot of different types of situations to deal with. And at the time, the team was small, and even now in my current job, our team is pretty small. So you have to be able to do a lot of different things and try and keep your head above water, which is very, very difficult on some days.
The article this podcast is based upon can be viewed in the best-selling cybersecurity leadership book, CISO Compass, Navigating Cybersecurity Leadership Challenges with Insights from Pioneers. Yeah, it's amazing how much time you can waste just by looking for stuff if you don't have it organized in the right place to be able to pull that thing out that somebody's asking for you. You could waste a lot of time that way.
Yeah, you've seen it at some point, but that was like a year ago. So you're searching all over in emails. And
So one thing you said that I really liked was that you forced yourself to grow as a person by putting yourself into uncomfortable situations, and I guess that stood out at me because in my career, moving from a technical person, when I made that leap into management, I knew from that point on that I was always going to be uncomfortable, because I was never going to be as technical as my technical guys anymore, because technology was going to move on, even though you try to keep up. And then, and now your job is totally different. What were some of those challenging projects that you kind of sunk yourself into?
Yeah, I think and I probably would have mentioned it in one of the previous things, but one of the ways that I kind of forced myself to learn and grow and meet others, we have an annual security training that we did back then, which included all security disciplines, but one of them was 10 or 15 minutes with information assurance and briefing people on their responsibilities for that. And the person running it came to our team and, asked for they just needed somebody from the team to speak. So our boss asked us, and, nobody on the team was volunteering. So even though I knew it would mean speaking to, a few hundred people multiple times, that was a uncomfortable situation that I just kind of, said yes to, and, forced myself to do it. And I knew I'd be nervous and uncomfortable, but I figured that it'd be a good learning experience. And, if I was able to do a decent job, I would be able to just get my name and face out there and have people know me. Because at the time, I think there were probably 4,000 or 5,000 people working on the base, and it's hard to meet all those people. So an event like that is a good way to at least briefly get your name and face out there, so that you never know what's going to happen in the future. But I figured as long as things went decent, it would be a good experience for me all around. And it turned out it was, because at the end it was I wasn't even looking at slides or notes anymore, because I knew the briefing down so well, and it was a lot more comfortable up there. And it's kind of still led into today, getting up in front of large groups where it's
Sure.
I still get nervous, but it's still a little bit easier than it would have been if I was just avoided it throughout my life.
So what advice would you give somebody that was, going to give their first public presentation in front of a few hundred people, and they've never done it before, or they've had some experience in school, but not at a professional level where they're concerned about their career and everything else? What sort of advice would you give them?
Well, just, I can only really give them what worked for me, which was just kind of know the material, and if at all possible, create the material, which I did at the time. And, that kind of helps you know it. I would do, I wouldn't recommend reading off a teleprompter or, reading word for word your notes, but I usually go through any type of briefing that I have to do, and I'll summarize, groups of sentences or paragraphs or sections just with a few key words that'll jog my memory, and I can just start rattling off, what it's supposed to say. And, it's like, I think a 3x5 index card where I'll just write those notes to myself, so I can just glance at it and then talk and look around to everybody and seem pretty natural. And I would practice it a few times just so you don't, go way under or wildly over. I've had a couple of those situations where I didn't do that, and all of a sudden I realized it was almost near the last slide, and I had just flown through a bunch within 5 or 10 minutes, and there's still a lot of time left, and I don't like that feeling. So Sure. If you have the ability, practice a couple times, and then once you do that, for me it comes a lot more naturally, and you can, I think, seem a lot more natural to people. I like, because when I hear people speak, I like them just, it seems more like if they're telling you a story and not, reading word for word, I find I'm more engaged. So that's kind of what I try to do when I'm talking in front of people too.
Right. With the slides being an aid, and really the focus is on what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, you can, switch the slides, of course, but I wouldn't read from them unless, for some reason you completely draw a blank, then that's always a backup. But just say, I guess it's kind of basic stuff, but, know the material and practice just, a few times. And things will go a lot better than if you're doing it all for the first time.
You mentioned that there were soft skills that you had to learn. What were some of those soft skills that you would say are the most challenging for a CISO to learn as they're moving from this techie role into a CISO role?
And I think keeping up good communication and not assuming that you're, I don't know, sometimes I think, I don't know, you kind of get just focused on your own, either singularly or your own self and what you're working on, or just a small team. But you kind of have to broaden out a bit and realize that, a lot of other people play a part in cybersecurity, whether they want to or not, or whether they know it or not. And figure out kind of the way to, tie what you do into what the overall business of whatever organization you're a part of is actually supposed to be focused on. And, how you can help it, or, how if something were to go wrong, how it can affect their business. And, you don't necessarily have to get their buy-in and everything, but at least figure out a way to talk to people that are not cybersecurity or IT people at all, and show them how this stuff, relates to them and affects them, and why they should at least, have you at the table to be part of their, broader executive type of conversation.
Sure. So you mentioned writing a resume and interviewing is very important. And is there a difference between the resume that you would put together, from your technical background versus one where you were, trying to be a CISO?
Yeah, I think so. And I think I kind of lost, or I still kept some of that stuff in my resume up until, this job, but not focused on that as much, because I think I was kind of like you, where I like doing the technical stuff and learning that, and I find it interesting. But over the years, I kind of had to accept that isn't necessarily part of the CISO, or at least the jobs that I was targeting. It wasn't something that was, really desired. I mean, I guess it'd be a nice to have thing, but, nobody, I don't know, I don't want to say nobody cared, but that wasn't really their focus of person they were hiring. They needed, somebody that's, somewhat personable, knows how to get along with people and speak, and, go to meetings and present and get people to buy into stuff. And, you can explain things to them in a way that, they understand. So, now if I was applying for a job, I probably wouldn't really include much technical stuff at all, because, one, it would be outdated at this point, and, two, you're aiming for a job where you're supposed to be managing and supervising these people that can do the technical work and that are the actual experts. So I think it's, that's important to show that, that's kind of what you're after, and you're willing to accept that your other people on the team are smarter than you in certain subjects. And it's, your job to rely on them to, help the team.
Well, Shaun, I think that's great advice. Is there any last thought you want to leave with listeners, whether they're current or experienced or emerging CISOs that could benefit from that transition of moving from a technical security officer or a technical practitioner to a security officer?
Yeah, I mean, what I did is just keep your eyes and ears open for, any opportunities that pop up. I mean, like that the speaking thing that I mentioned, where, I could see no one was excited to to do that or volunteer for it. Somebody was going to have to be told to do it. And, you have to just take advantage of those moments that pop up, or, if somebody's sending out emails at work looking for volunteers for a certain thing, it might not necessarily have to do with security, but if you can get out there, meet other people that may at some point in the future, think of you for a job or think of you for doing something, I think it's always helpful to get your name out there and do stuff that's outside of what you would normally do, like from a technical perspective. But yeah, really just putting yourself in, unfamiliar or uncomfortable situations, and just, I want to go into it with a mindset of, this person's going to get me a job, or, this will lead to a job or something, but just get out and meet people and show people that, you're a nice person, easy to talk to, and get along with them. And, you never know what'll happen in the future. I wouldn't put too much pressure on it and worry about it, but it seems I've kind of learned that sometimes if you just take your foot off the gas and let things, kind of relax, and, things will eventually happen for you. And sometimes they'll happen, surprisingly quick, even when you weren't planning on it.
I think that's great advice. I think the public speaking has a lot of benefits. As somebody who's been doing, public speaking for a lot of years, the one thing I can say that I really appreciate about it is that you actually learn so much just by going through that process, because you have to do all the research to supplement your own thoughts. And in doing that, you expand your own knowledge into many different areas. And I think that's beneficial. And then it's meeting people like yourself. I know we would have never have met had we not been at some event in doing some public speaking and collaboration.
Yeah, and that's a good example. Even that meeting that we had, I was just trying to talk with a number of people, and you sounded interesting, and we were just talking, and I never had any, thoughts or hopes of anything coming out of it. I just thought it'd be mutually beneficial to know each other, and who knows what will happen in the future. And
yeah,
here we are,
absolutely,
a number of years later.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, it's been great talking with you, Shaun, and thanks a lot for what you do in protecting our park service, and we really appreciate that. And thanks for your contribution to the CISO Compass book.
Yeah, thanks, Todd, and thanks for inviting me here. And hopefully, if not this year, maybe next year, I'll see you at some conferences.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. Visit more CISO Stories podcasts on securityweekly.com, where you will find an index to prior episodes. The Cybersecurity Collaborative is a unique membership community enabling cybersecurity leaders to work together in a trusted environment. To learn more, visit securityweekly.com/CSC or visit cyberleadersunite.com.